on Coronado Beach in Panama, outside of Panama City. Hello, Frank. How you doing today at the beaches outside of Panama City?
Super.
If you were to compare crime on the Ecuador coast to crime on the Panamanian coast, what would the differences be, if any?
I don't think generally there's any difference. One could get the feeling there's a difference just because the two areas have a different appearance. They outwardly look different because they're different countries. But they're same kind of crimes are here and there.
Well, but haven't we been reading online about some violent crimes in Panama towards expats?
Well, there's violent crimes here and in Ecuador. So again, they're the same. The crimes is the same. Yeah.
Do you think that perhaps it's just because there's more expats in Panama that we're reading about more violent crimes? Because I read more violent crimes happening in Panama than Ecuador.
I think that Panama's more mature in the accumulation of foreigner enclaves.
Okay.
Enclaves with lots of foreigners. And therefore they've had more time to make a presence of their financial inequality with the locals. Unfortunately, as you can see here, there's no shortage of opulence. There's no keeping a low profile or anything like that. So, after a number of years, the word gets out. And we've been saying it all along since we started helping foreigners understand what it's really like to live abroad. Well, I had a conversation with a South American before we left the States, and she explained how things are in South America. She spoke English. She knows what it's like in the U.S. So in the U.S., people show off their wealth. In South America, people keep a low profile. It's totally different cultures. But what happens is that these North Americans go abroad to these countries and they don't understand that principle, and they attempt to live the same way. They don't attempt; they do it. They live the same way they live in the States, and they don't realize that coming to poor countries, there's a lot of hubbub about middle classes and all that, but what you don't realize is that that's not the foundation and the base of the country. It's not middle class like in the States where it's a sizable middle class. It's a misleading statement when you hear that there's rising middle classes. These are designed to make you feel better about your living standards when you go to poor countries. The reality is that percentage-wise, you may have a middle class in these countries, but it's much, much smaller percentage of the population than what we're used to in the States. So whether it's rising or not is really immaterial. There's too many people here living on $500 a month, and after a while, resentment from criminals. I think a lot of these crimes are resentment. If you look at the way that these criminals are acting violently towards the foreigners, raping 65-year-old women and stuff. There's stuff like people getting home invaded and for their refrigerators. They're getting their refrigerators and their sneakers stolen. What does that tell you? Nobody likes to talk about crime and stuff, and there's a lot of people that will minimize crime and they will poo-poo it, and then they will make all these statements And there's a lot of reasons for them to do so, and there's a lot of reasons for locals to get defensive. A lot of times the locals take it personal, as a personal insult, which it is not. Yes, there's crime everywhere, and it's important to know what the crime is. If I was moving to Pittsburgh, I'd want to know what the crime rates were, and I'd want to know what kind of crimes there are, and then I could make an informed decision. It doesn't matter where I'm moving. I want to know the straight skinny. I want to know where bears squat in the woods. You know, I want to know everything, and that's what we do. That's what we write about. It's not about complaining or whining or not having anything good to say. Of course we have a lot of good to say. It has been said that moving is one of the most stressful things a person does in their lifetime. The only other more stressful thing is the death in the family, I think if I remember correctly. And so this is even more stressful because you're not just moving in the States to a different city, you're moving to a completely different culture, different country. People look different, sound different, speak different, act different, earn different, and it's a big shock, big culture shock. So I think it's important for people to know the straight skinny on everything, and to pretend and stick your head in the sand, you know, and pretend that you're going to some idyllic place that no problems exist and everything's perfect. It's just not real, you know. So it's not meant to discourage, it's meant to be honest, you know, and to be clear and honest and upfront. So yeah, I would feel uncomfortable living here. I would, and I speak Spanish. I'm not saying that I couldn't live here.
You mean in a house?
Yeah, in a house. I think that I would have to have an awful lot of South American style protection, like barbed wire, electric fencing,
guard dogs,
sensor lights, guard dogs, just the whole rigmarole.
Yeah.
And even then I'd still be uncomfortable because you know, you can do all those things and still, you know, if you get targeted, which foreigners do get targeted. You know, after foreigners been going to a place for 10-15 years, doing things the way they do them, you know, living opulently and such, and kind of in your face to the locals like that. It seems to be just a cause and effect where eventually the crime rates just go up.
Okay, Frank, well that was a lot of detail. Thank you so much for that.
Anyway, all right, have a beautiful day. Thanks for listening.